Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the channel. We're looking at the front of my shop and you can now see there's a for sale sign on it. So in this video we'll have a bit of a chat about what's going on the latest developments. We'll have a walk through the backyard. This will be part 16 of the Great Backyard Cleanup. However, it's become the Great Cleanup because I'm more and more convinced that I'm going to have to move from here. So I'll keep you all informed. Obviously all my other videos like worm farming challenges and scrapping videos, and I was even going to get back to antique bottles and doing deals. They're all going to be on hold for a little bit, but I'll talk about that as we have a bit of a wander through the shop and show you what I've been up to in the backyard. Okay, it's early Saturday morning, or there's a bit of traffic getting around. I'm about to open, and I might do a bit of a walkthrough when I'm open again so you can see the current state of the shop. This is the sign the real estate company have put up. I will talk about this a little bit in this video, and I'll show you the online listing for it, and I'll put the link underneath, but then again down the track the link won't work, so I will show you the listing, but you can see the details there. The auction is going to be on the 28th of April. It's currently the 2nd. I'll be probably putting this video up tomorrow, so it's the latest developments for you guys. I have had one inspection already. The real estate guy brought some people through last night. Let's have a wander around the shop. I'll actually probably wander around when I'm open. So let's go straight out the backyard now. Coco's with me this morning. Good morning, Coco. Hello, hey. No, she's too interested in what's going on. A dog walked past before. Okay, let's just wander down the hallway and out the back, and we'll do a walk around the shop just to finish this video off perhaps. But I want to show you what I've been up to lately. With 4 weeks until the auction, I've clearly got a lot of work to do. I'm not worried. Like, the inspection took place yesterday, and this is exactly what it was like. When the people need to understand that it is an operational second-hand shop, and there's a lot of stock. So there didn't seem to be any worries about that. They were looking past the stuff and looking at the building and looking at the yard. And the people that were inspecting, I think they were looking to buy the business, or sorry, not the business. They were looking to buy the shop for their daughter to run some sort of business. So if that happens, obviously, you know, my tenure here has finished. But I think that's likely anyway if it sells. I can't imagine anyone wanting to keep everything the same for me and just basically be a new landlord. Anyway, I will show you the listing online soon. We'll have a bit of a look around the yard. It's starting to rain, so we better do this little tour firstly to show you what I've been up to. I've made a big impact around here, which may not look like much of a cleanup to those of you that haven't seen my videos, so go back and have a look at this playlist. I start talking about the sale of my property, I think in episode 14, so this is episode 16. There was a massive big pile of scrap here that I've processed. I've got a lot to take to Melbourne. I've been working in my little area there on the Vice on the nice days. I've actually made it into this shed. Now this garden shed is the only shed that's actually staying on the property. All the other sheds I've put here and I will be taking with me. And I haven't been able to get in here for a while because it just became somewhere to stack things out of the rain. There is a bit of a workbench there. It's been a long time since I've been able to do anything in here. But I've been finding tubs of copper and scrap metal and things that I've saved over the years that I've forgotten I've owned. There's a lot of junk just piled up here. There has been some rats and possums in here and they make a bit of a mess. I did spend a long time in here one time getting the shelving set up with plans to be doing a lot of work out here, and I just never had time. So I'm going to go through, there's some picture frames at the end there which I'll probably take home because we want to frame up some things for the shop, and even if my shop finishes we'll still have Christine's shop. There's some nice old drawers and shelving and things I might take home. There's lots of hardware from old furniture, antique bits and pieces. So I'm just sorting it out into tubs. A lot of the stuff I'm just boxing and taking into the shop and putting like $10 a box lot. There is a really nice set of drawers here which I picked up many years ago, like old filing drawers, and I will be taking these ones home. I've been going through and emptying these. I've had a lot of just various furniture bits and pieces in them. And if I had have got into furniture restoration, it would have been great. I'd have all this stock of hardware, but I've just never had time to do it. So those drawers will go home, and I'm sure I'll make use of them there. So I've got a lot of stuff to clean up in this little shed area. I built this shed probably about 10 years ago. It's not really much of a shed. There was just some scrap materials I got from a caravan park actually, and I just sort of welded them together, and I had to make a bit of a lean-to when I was repairing a car once. I put a set of rings in a Ford Laser, I think it was. So that was just a temporary shed that's still there. So let's wander around the yard here. I've kept most of this area clean. The timber I'm just going to leave for now. I did mention in the last cleanup video that I could just have a bonfire if I need to get rid of it quickly, but I'm more likely probably to give it away, or if I've got time I'll cut it up for firewood. I don't like just burning stuff for the sake of getting rid of it, but at least it's an option. All these pallets, you know, I've done quite a lot of projects on pallets over the years, but I should be able to give all those away if I need to quickly. The backyard, or the back lane, sorry, is still the same probably as you last saw it. I am doing a load of scrap on Tuesday. What are we up to? Saturday today, so I'll be loading a lot of that in the van on Tuesday, and we'll do a separate video there. So my videos are going to be predominantly yard cleanup series and scrap runs for now, because that's what's going on in my life. I do have a few worm tests going on, and I've got one I just finished yesterday, so I will squeeze those in every now and again. This area has stayed relatively clean, so there's not a lot of quantity gone out of the yard lately, but I have got into the shed. I have been unpacking things like drawers and cupboards, which is the time consuming stuff. I mean, a lot of this bulk I could get rid of in a day, or at least make it a lot more organised. So that's where we're up to with the Great Yard cleanup at the moment. The days have been quite nice, although in Australia we finish our daylight saving tonight, I think. So I have been coming back here at nights and doing a bit in the yard, but I'm going to have, it's pretty much going to be dark now, but I still can work in the shed, so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll be back here again tonight. What else can I tell you about? I think we might just leave that for now, and I'll do a walk through the shop once I've opened. I'm about to open shortly. And then we'll have a look at the website of the listing, and we'll have a bit of a talk about what I think is going to happen. Okay guys, time for a walk around the shop. You know, I did the first part of this video at about 9 AM this morning. I opened straight away, and it's now about 5:10 in the afternoon. I normally close at 4. This is the first time for the entire day that I haven't had customers in my shop or a crowd on the footpath. It's been a very busy day. So I've done pretty well, but I did promise you a quick walk around the shop to show you what it looks like at the moment. I have had a good day in that I've sold a lot of stuff, which is good, because I'm probably more interested in getting rid of quantity at the moment for obvious reasons. But let's have a quick walk through the shop. It's not a proper shop tour, but just for those of you that haven't seen what I do here, we'll walk through the rooms. I'll show you what I've got down each side lane, and then we'll have a look at the auction site online and just have a quick chat about that before we finish up this part. Okay, there's still a bit of traffic round. The town's been very busy this week because they've actually been holding the Australian Rowing Nationals on our lake, and there's about 6,000 people in town. So, alright, so here's the outside of my shop. I have a lot of stuff out on the footpath. It's worthwhile putting things out every day because it does attract people, and anyone that likes old wares shops and charity shops is kind of drawn in by the lure of finding a treasure. I have a little side lane here which I may not have featured before. Little swing around sign that basically is pretty self-explanatory, and this side of the shop used to be just gravel and weeds, and I did roof it in years ago and made it quite a nice little display area. It has been used as storage for a long time, and given the current events with having to clean up, I've emptied it out and I've made it available for customers again. Whereas I just put a bit of shed stuff, tins of nails, nuts and bolts, lots of sort of hardware items that sell very well. And even though this is actually outside my main shop, people just bring things in and... Oh, okay. Someone has walked away with that box of brass window lifts. So, oh no, they haven't. There it is. So generally most people are pretty honest, but because there's only low value stuff here, if someone really wants to pinch things, well, so be it. They earn the bad karma. I'm not really worried about it. I put a lot of old paint cans here that I get out of sheds. You know, as long as they're still liquid and feel like the paint's good, I'll just sell them at $1 each, and people buy them for all sorts of reasons. And there's a few old doors here. So this side of the shop, I should have had it in action all the time, but it has been sort of emergency storage and locked up for 6 months or more now. Anyway, I sold a few things out of there today. Before we go into the shop, and I should turn the open sign off in case more people turn up. We'll have a quick look down its other side of the shop. This is Christine's shop, by the way. She's just gone home. I will, in a future video, do a bit of a walk around in her shop to show you what she has in there, and if I do have to move, which I think is more likely, I'm going to have to probably squeeze in there with her. Hopefully, if I'm nice, she'll give me a corner. A few things chained up on the stones here. Our community piano has taken a bit of a beating lately. It's not very nicely looked after sometimes by the drunks at night, but it still plays okay. More for sale down this side. This is outside stuff that doesn't matter if it gets wet, and it's just starting to rain here again. And I've been moving a lot of stuff from the backyard that you've seen into this side. Things like the old fire fender and an old jockey wheel and stuff you might have seen in recent videos. And they've been in the weather anyway, so it doesn't matter leaving them out here. And a lot of stuff sells quite well from down this lane. So I'll be continuing as I empty the backyard to keep this side well stocked. And hopefully we can turn things into a bit of cash. Not that I really need the cash flow at the moment. I mean, I've had a good day today, as I said. I turned over around about $800, which is a pretty good turnover for me on a weekend. Generally I do at least 500. And those of you that have been following my business, and I will do a series on exactly how I operate my business at some stage, out of an $800 turnover, you know, I'm doing quite well. It's quite a lucrative business. So inside the window here, I won't dawdle too long. I'm not going to show you prices on stuff. This isn't a sales video. This is really just to give you a bit of a look at how my shop is presented. There's some nice Australian pottery in that cabinet there. The building, as you can see, is beautifully suited to old wares. It's an 1890s weatherboard shop with a original residence out the back, even though it's one building. So it is very apt for putting antiques and old wares in here. I like to have a lot of lamps going. They give the room a nice ambience. And there's various carpet mats and things on the floor, lots of books, lots of prints. And I just remembered I've got the radio going in this back room. Hang on, I better go and turn it off. We don't want copyright issues. Okay, back to approximately where I was. This room I put a lot of tech stuff, things out of the e-waste that are too good to scrap or they work fine. Some records, some music, a lot of camera gear. So if we have to consolidate into Christine's shop, obviously I can't carry as much stock, and I'm going to have to try and set it up. We're going to have a lot of fun if we go ahead with that. We're going to have a lot of fun setting up all the tech stuff and all the bloke's tools and, you know, all the bits and pieces that Christine doesn't normally carry. She normally lets me take to my shop because I do a lot with electrical stuff and I am licensed to test and tag items. She tends to give me all the electronics, and as a lot of you guys will know, I have a soft spot for vintage electronics and I like to fix some of the stuff. So I certainly want to continue having this sort of stuff through my secondhand business, even if I no longer have my secondhand shop. So we'll end up probably still running as separate businesses next door, but we'll just code everything so that we know whose is whose. That will be decided down the track, and hopefully you guys will come for the journey with us. I think I'm pretty much resigned to the fact that it's going to happen now. I can't see any options of the landlords coming down to what sort of price I think it's worth. I think someone's going to pay something silly for it, and they're either going to want to use it for themselves or you know, put my rent up if they want to try and keep me in here, and that's just not going to work. There's a nice Victorian cedar chiffonier, and that sort of stuff we probably won't sell. If we do combine our shops, we'll probably use the space as efficiently as we can and just put a lot of display cabinets and things that aren't for sale but can carry a lot of stock. Little display chests. We can get a lot of value out of per square meterage on this sort of stuff rather than having, you know, a large extension table taking up so much space. So anyway, this is the main room in my shop. I do have a lot of glass and china and lots of curios and old tins and all sorts of stuff. How's this hand? Hey, someone made that up out of scrap metal. Looks pretty cool. It's not actually for sale, but it's a good prop to put watches and jewelry on. So this is the main room. Let's go around into the The shed room, old rusty metal bits and pieces, tools, more shed stuff. The radio's going in this side, but it sounds like it's the footy on, so that shouldn't present any problems. Lots of signs, and I'm going to have limited room for signs next door, and I'll probably make next episode of the Great Backyard Cleanup. We'll do a bit of a tour of Christine's shop, and we'll just have a bit of a chat about maybe where we'll be able to put stuff. I certainly still want to keep this old pigeonhole cabinet here. Well, not here, but next door. I want to keep it and use it somewhere. There's some beautiful old shelves that I've acquired over the years, and I kind of don't want to let them go. You know, these shelves are fine. You know, they're just modern storage racks, but some of the nicer old stuff you just don't find very often. And you know, I've got an emotional attachment with some of it. Same with these old cupboards. There's one in the other room too. In fact, we might go and have a look at that. It's a bit easier to see than this. They were government issue school cupboards. So let's go through into the kitchen room where we can look at another one. So here's the kitchen room, and if we swing around this way, you can see I've taken the doors off them, but they're early 1900s, probably pine timber school cupboard. And I think a lot of, if you look closely, I think there's even a government stamp on them because they were for the schools, and they're just such beautiful old cupboards. Some were painted like this, some weren't. Fantastic storage, and they actually bring quite good money, but yeah, I want to hang on to all those. Whereas these pine shelves, well, we'll use probably what we need, but we might sell off any surplus we have. Christine does have a kitchen section in her shop, so I'm sure we can come up with a really flash kitchen display. The shop's starting to look a bit sparse here in some of the shelves. I do have to get into my shipping container out the back and unpack a lot more stock. I'm going to feed everything in constantly while I can still run this place. So the shop shouldn't look like I'm running out of stock, and hopefully the backyard and the sheds and the storage rooms gradually become depleted and less full of junk and more easily able to move. So there's less stuff to move if the crunch actually comes. Well, I'll have a bit of a chat. Oh, I've got someone browsing. Sorry, I'm doing a YouTube video. You don't mind? If you don't want to feature, you better keep out of my road. We'll walk out the back in a minute and we'll have a look at the real estate listing and show you all the pictures that they've taken, which they did a pretty good job of showing the building, considering all the rooms are full of stuff. And we'll just have a chat then about, you know, what I think it's really worth. I don't mind putting figures online, and what the real estate company are suggesting that it's worth. And perhaps you'll understand why I think that, yeah, my days here are certainly numbered. So I hope you enjoyed the walk around the shop, guys. So now we're on the raywhitenagambi.com.au webpage, and here's the feature of my shop, 336 High Street. Online auction April 28, so that's just under 4 weeks. There's no point in me really putting the link underneath, because anyone that sees this video after that time, the link won't work. You can probably see it up here, and certainly if you go to Ray White, you'll see it, and you'll have obviously a record here of what they put on there. So this is how they photographed it. They've got some really good shots actually. We'll scroll down here. It's an online auction. I've had one inspection already, which I've mentioned to you. And there's an aerial shot of Nagambie showing a beautiful lake, and my block here is highlighted here. They've blurred out the rest of it. The drone footage that they used, they certainly didn't get very close, so it doesn't really show much of my scrap and a lot of tree canopies. It does show how bad the roof is on the old building. Then there's a photograph of the front veranda. And the front of the shop looks really nice. It's been painted relatively recently, but not much has been done to the rest of the building. And then the photographer did shots of all the rooms in the shop. And there's a whole heap of photos. I suppose we can go through them. And you've just seen a walkthrough of basically, it's only a week or 10 days difference between when these photos were done and the walkthrough I've just done today. And I'm posting this video up tomorrow, so if it's just come up, this is pretty much how it looks right at the moment. But he got really good lighting, and he did his best to show what the building was like. This is one of my storerooms out the back that you guys probably haven't seen. It's one of the bedrooms. When I lived here, this was the bedroom. It's now just obviously storage, and there's a lot of stuff stacked in there. This is the back room, which you often see in some of my videos, or the lounge room when it was a residence. And the kitchen when it was a residence, and I do a lot of my e-waste scrapping here. I've still got a few of my bottles up on the wall. And there's the only shot he's actually got of the backyard. So it shows how dilapidated the old building is really. It was renovated, I think, in probably the 1980s. And these windows aren't original. In fact, it had quite a bit done to it back then, because originally, in the very early days, the whole building was a duplicate, and one side would have been a shop with a family living out the back, and the other side would have been the same. So it's been changed a lot over the years, but certainly in recent times there's been hardly any maintenance done on it. There's the shot from above, and it looks like he got the drone as high as he possibly could so that you couldn't make out very much in the backyard. But I guess for prospective buyers, it does show the size of the block and the rear access lane and how it relates to the town. So I suppose that's good information. Another photo from out the front. I think we're back to the start, are we? Oh, there's the house plan. Now, interestingly, and I won't speak ill of any real estate company, but they've marketed this place as a 4-bedroom house. Now, I understand that residential properties are getting much better money than commercial properties. Even though it's zoned commercial, they're calling room 6, room 4, room 3 and room 5. They're calling them bedrooms, where is, in fact, room 5 is that storage room you saw, which really is a bedroom, or could only be described as a bedroom if you've got a unit out the back. Room 6 could be turned back into one, but that's my tech room. Room 4 is really the back part of the main room, and room 3 is my kitchen room. So a bit of a stretch, I think, to call it 4 bedrooms. And you can see how the plan of the building shows that originally it was a mirror image. So there was this hallway would have gone right down through here to a living area, and then on this side it was identical, a bit like a terrace house, I guess. And then there would have been probably 2 separate back doors, and they would have had either a detached kitchen or certainly a detached laundry and toilet probably. Back in the 1890s, usually they were outside separate buildings. So that's what it looks like anyway. That's the end of the photos. But before we finish up here, let's go and have a look. Oh, here's their blurb, which is mainly a chat about how good the town is, other than saying the period weatherboard shop residence is offered with vacant possession, which kind of stung a bit when I read that, because no one came to ask me, and I certainly, if I had the option, would like to stay. But anyway, I did ascertain why they use that term. If the real estate company had have offered it as a leased business, or a leased commercial property, or at least a tenanted property, prospective buyers would be immediately then asking, what's the return per annum? And because I've been on a pretty good rent, and I'm fortunate that I haven't even had to pay the rates, I think the real estate company quoting those figures would then be demonstrating to potential buyers that there's not a very good return to be made, so why pay too much for it? So it was easier for them, and I guess I don't actually have a lease, so it was easier for them to sell it as a vacant possession. They talk a bit about how Nagambi's going ahead. Interesting that it's projected to more than double its population in the next 5 years. So it's a go-ahead place for sure. There we go. They've got 4 bedrooms. If we just duck to the price guide, this was rather interesting. Have a look at what they're estimating. Now, I guess it depends where you are in the part of the world you are and how property is going. This is obviously Australian dollars. That figure, 620 to 682,000, would be an average price for a 4-bedroom house. But for a 130-year-old weatherboard shop with, remember, I'm taking all my stuff here, so there's going to be no kitchen stove, no heating, no cooling. The building is in the dirt pretty much. The stumps have well and truly rotted away. It needs a new roof. So it's had white ants or termites through it. So I just think that's a little bit of a stretch. Now, as I said, I don't want to speak ill of real estate companies. They do have to market the properties as best they can and try and get the best price for the vendor. But anyway, you draw your own conclusions. I won't tell you exactly what we offered the landlords. Suffice to say that it was a lot lower than that figure. So I don't expect we're going to have any chance at all of getting it, even if it sits on the market for some time. But anyway, we will register our price at the auction if it happens. I mean, they probably won't even go that low to start it. They may just pass it in if there's no bids. But look, it'll be interesting to see what happens. You won't be able to... Hang on, I'll finish this screen and I'll talk to you to finish up this video. Okay, so here I am. I was just saying you won't be able to go to the online auction site and watch the bidding or anything unless you actually register your interest with Ray White. So if you are a potential buyer, by all means register and, perhaps buy an investment property in Ngambie, but just don't put my rent up. So what's going to happen? I expect that it won't get a bid, or at least won't get bidding high enough for the landlords to accept. So, and I expect it's going to be passed in. But in this day and age, silly things happen. And look, there's people selling up in Melbourne and getting 1.5 mil for their house and coming up to the country, and 600,000 is probably going to be not much for them. So it may well sell, and if someone pays that sort of money and wants a tenant in here, I'm sure they're going to be asking a lot more than what I'm paying, which is going to finish my business pretty much. If they want to buy it for their own use, well, that's it. I'm out anyway. I don't have a choice because I don't have a lease. If a developer buys it, I think that's unlikely. I've had word from the council that they don't want any more of the old shops knocked down, so I expect that probably rules out developers. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Look, if it does get bids and sells and goes high, well, the only thing I'm really concerned about is that I don't want to have a super short settlement date, because you guys have all seen what I have to move. I would prefer, probably my preferred option would be for it to sit on the market for 12 months and I can just take my time in cleaning up. I'm really warming to the idea of moving in with Christine and sharing one shop. It's going to save us a lot of, a lot of stress. If we did buy this place, I think we would forever have our hands in our pockets for maintenance, for improvements. It does need a new roof pretty urgently. So I think I'm almost talked myself out of offering anything, but if we get it at our price, I probably would. But if I have to move, well, other than all the effort to move, I'm going to save rent, and I can tell you I'm paying $330 a week rent here. I'm going to save 2 lots of power bills because the back part of the shop here has a separate bill from the front. I'm going to save insurance costs. So per week, that's going to add up to quite a lot of money. Christine's got a pretty good deal next door. If we share that place, then I'm halving her costs. I think it's probably the best way to go, even though it'll be a little sad because it's like the end of an era. I said to someone today that I've worked out that I lived here for 16 years and I've been here for nearly 4 years since we moved around to our house. So this place represents the single longest time I've ever been in one spot in my life. So yeah, it'll be a little sad, and I've also talked about I would really miss my backyard. So anyway, that's where we're at. I'll keep you updated. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Next video will probably be a scrap run. We're going to Melbourne on Tuesday to get some scrap out of the yard. And then the video after that will probably be part 17 of the Great Backyard Cleanup, which is morphing into just the Great Cleanup, as I said. And in that playlist, I will keep you all updated with what's going on. So there you go. That's the latest. This was, if you're watching this as it's just come out, this was just filmed on the Saturday, just yesterday. So you're right up to date. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll keep you informed. Hope you're doing well. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.